Get up and get out. Get out. Get out.
I have a question for you.
Say Christ is Lord. Say Christ is Lord. Say it. You say Christ is Lord. Get out. Get out. Christ is Lord.
Hello and welcome in to another episode of Offensively Accurate, hosted by yours truly, Atlas Thugged, aka Whiteboy Voice, aka another racially ambiguous groiper. Welcome in. It is another massive news day. We are on day 8, I believe, of the Iran war. It's either day 6, 7, or 8. I am unsure. I'm also out of sorts for a little bit. I apologize. I had a last-minute visitor, my father, and we had a conversation. So I apologize. I'm going to be a little out of sorts for the beginning of this. But appreciate seeing everybody in here, the Beatitudes, Hippocratic Oath, Smelly Balls, all of you guys, appreciate you greatly. The issue we have today is that there was a hero who was made by the name of Brian McInness. And whatever you think about his political priors is irrelevant to the fact that the majority of America empathized, sympathized, and related to the incident that occurred. And that is the main story, the main featured story of today, which is this Marine. And Marine versus Senator. I thought about making a few different thumbnails actually on this. I figured I would go with something maybe less provocative, but I do think that this is quite literally showing the hard split in America right now. And I think this is we are reaching honestly new heights I never thought possible. The Captive Dreamer crowd, the John Doyle crowd, the Patrick Casey crowd, they are all still defending what is going on. We're getting reports now that the Iran war could last through September. That's reported from CENTCOM. I believe it also came from the Pentagon. We're getting new talking points dropping from MAGA. Actually, this came from Stephen Miller today, which we'll take a look at. This talking point from MAGA from Stephen Miller is the fact that, well, no, the reason people didn't support the military interventions before was because the military was woke. And now that the military's not woke, people support it. This is the new talking point of MAGA. It's shameless. It's depraved. It's getting worse and worse. And top of the hour, I will say, RN, Rerum Novarum, in corroboration, which I believe it's still unconfirmed last I saw, but again, I missed the last hour essentially, is that a U.S. fighter jet was shot down over Iraq, and the pilot has been captured by local Iraqi security forces. However, that's what I saw earlier. I've seen conflicting reports showing that there's a search team out there, but the pilot was not found yet. That's supposedly the latest that I had seen there, so surely we'll get some more confirmation, perhaps later on in the day. Maybe we'll see that on tonight. But the theme of today, and I will echo our friend, the Nicholas J. Fuentes, which is the fact that it can't be missed. This is the theme that is running through most people's minds today and has been for the last couple of days, is that we are occupied by a hostile foreign nation. This hostile foreign nation that has the ability to, for one, control nearly every aspect of your life, whether it is censorship or whether it is debanking you or whether it is debarring you from certain elements, whether it is making moral judgments upon you and then deeming them of you. And down to what most people are irritated at, which is the fact that they have the ability to send your sons and daughters to war and risk the entirety of the posterity and everything your nation is for their own interest. That is the theme of what today is going to be about. That is what Brian McInness stood up and voiced his opinion about, which is that none of us, the Americans who reside here, the heritage Americans, and even for that matter, I imagine many of illegal aliens don't want to die for Israel either, but that's the point. We do not want to die for Israel. We don't want to see more military intervention for Israel. We don't want to see more American interest being sent, all because of Israel. That's the key line here. The second point that kind of leaps off from this idea is that I think a lot of people are now thinking, we got to think about this differently. Now, I know Nick kind of went at length actually on talking about he's voting Democrat. We've been talking about accelerationism for a hot minute. But I've also seen this sentiment from other people, largely a lot of the more popular libertarian crowd individuals, people like Clint Russell, Dave Smith. Now, you know my opinion of Dave Smith, but regardless, I think the priorities have been, we kind of all have seen the priority rise to the top, and that priority needs to be whatever it takes to decouple from Israel. I think that takes priority now. Now, I've kind of been someone who's poked fun at the fact of what's more important, right? The JQ, the WQ, the race question, race realism. I think we have our answer, and that answer is the decoupling of Israel has gotten to a point that nothing else even matters at this point, honestly, beyond decoupling from Israel. And not to say nothing matters, but to say the political priors, maybe there needs to be a change of mindset in how we view this. What are we willing to hold back in order to get America's interest back in its own, for an American to grab the steering wheel, if you will. And so this is kind of where we are. And I think a lot of people are obviously going to disagree. I think many people seeing that Nick was pushing for voting Democrat are obviously going to have their opinions on that. But this is kind of where we are. We are in this position of figuring out what has to change. What must we do? And I think what needs to be said now is the fact that there is a majority of young men and women in this country who are not ever going to sign up once again for anything Republican, or even under this kind of guise of even halfway believing that anyone connected to this current administration, connected to this kind of, whether it's Vance or Rubio or Miller or the GOP establishment, any of it, that idea, I think that is just like, they're just not going to do it. And so I think a lot of people are depressed out. They are black-pilled. They're opting out. They say, what are we going to do? And I think that is imploring the fact that we got to think about this differently. And so specifically, I believe Nick was pushing out this idea that, he's still a far-right nationalist. He still believes he's still a Christian. He still believes Christ is king. He still believes that there's a lot of illegals that need to be taken out of this country. He still believes that, in terms of legal immigration, these things need to be handled. We need to get more and back to the white America that it was and traditionally has been, and specifically Christian. But what if the path to get there involves putting some of these ideals to the wayside to ensuring we can get whatever it would take to get Israel out of the driver's seat? This is kind of, I would imagine this concept, this idea is going to be probably talked about for quite a bit. And I think this is, for a lot of people, are just in agreement that never again, right? It's not never again talking about the Holocaust. It's never again. And we have, and the image in there is MAGA. It's Trump. It is the great scam of America, the greatest scam in American history. I would actually go so far to say. Now, Nick's kind of saying a lot of this idea of like uniting and all of this. I know people are going to be affronted by the language. But I do think ultimately, and like many have said here before, I think when I was even having the interview with Antelope Hill Publishing, he argued that nothing else matters, that the top priority is Israel. Israel being dethroned out of this nation is the number one thing that must happen, and everything else will fall in place after that. I have some disagreement on everything falling in place after that, but I do agree it would make things a lot easier if it was just Americans here. That's kind of like the opening gist of what we're going to be talking about today. Obviously, Brian McInness, a few different kind of back and forth in there as well. We also have Kristi Noem was also fired. I saw some of you guys put out that earlier. Kristi Noem was fired. I believe she was fired while she was live. And the reason for her firing is also kind of curious as well. So we'll explore a little bit of that. I got some details on there. The unfortunate thing is that the person who is replacing her, Markwayne Mullin, is someone who also opposed, any kind of peaceful deal in Iran. He opposed the ceasefire in Gaza, and he also supported the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act. So that's what we got from her replacement. Not going to be much better. She's more so being fired for being involved in a guzzling, an embezzlement, if you will, of money, and also lying before Congress. We're going to talk a bit more. We're going to actually take a look at the tweet from Nick about voting Democrat and kind of have a conversation on that as well. Another thing that's been floating around is Glenn Beck has also been talking to AI George Washington about foreign entanglements. And what it seems to be is Glenn Beck, literally, it's like this is the most boomer post of all time. But Glenn Beck floated this beforehand, but where he's at right now is he's talking about Glenn Beck on foreign entanglements in the light of the Iran war, seemingly in an attempt to get the man who's known for saying no foreign entanglements to appease the beliefs of people like Glenn Beck and Zionists for their pro-war stance. It's kind of a very disturbing thing. We'll take a look at that as well. We also got a report that seems to be that Russia is actually getting a bit more active in what's going on here. The report says that Russia says it will do everything possible to make the U.S. and Israeli operation impossible. And what was funny was in the video, actually, was it's being translated into English, and the lady seemingly hesitates before she says what she's about to say here. I would imagine to make sure that she's saying it correctly, so she, as the translator, doesn't make a declaration of war, by accident on behalf of Russia when she's just the translator. And we'll take a look at that too. There's also unfortunately, we're going to get boots on the ground. I don't want to make the prediction. I don't even want to joke about it or laugh about it. But there's a couple things that's making me think that we're going to get boots on the ground, for sure. How imminent, I don't know, but we're definitely going to be getting boots on the ground. This is actually three things. Let me say this. Earlier today, NBC's Tom Lamas and had a conversation with Abbas Araghchi, I think that's how you say that, or Araghchi, I should say, who is Iran's foreign minister. The NBC individual asked him to point up, in preparation of for a ground invasion, he says, "Oh, we're already ready." He essentially says, like, we're ready. We're waiting for it. We expect it. The other element is that there's reports coming out that there was a special operations paratroop operation, which is specifically just these, planes flying at low altitude for paratroopers to get out and do operations. Thank you, Jason Smith. He's saying Spec Ops is probably already on the ground. And I'm also seeing reports out of that they're already compromised, actually, that the location was given away early. And the person who did give the intelligence was Russia on the special operation paratroop operation. It sounds difficult to say. I'm not as good with the military jargon as much as I should be. And thirdly, this may be the thing that gives me the most confidence that we're going to have boots on the ground, is the fact that on Kalshi, I think it's either Kalshi or Polymarket, but it might be Polymarket, that there's been these whale accounts who have been, for the last, month, only been active for short periods of time. I believe they've identified 9 of these accounts who've been betting heavily on Trump striking at this time, going to war with Iran at this day. And now these same accounts they have found are betting on an imminent ground invasion by the United States forces in Iran. So I think there's 3 things that are pointing to that. It's imminent. And it's unfortunate because, like I said on the last stream, it felt to me that we are either going to be contemplating boots on the ground or nuking them. Because once again, not being involved with Iran is off the table. Because why? Because we don't control our future. Israel does. And Israel said we will stop when Netanyahu says we stop. And that is the real thing you need to understand about the entire framing here, is that we have a president of the United States, but his name is not Donald Trump. His name might as well be Galubli Glop. We are owned and ran by the fifth column, the Jewish element here in America, and also by their proxies over in Israel. That is who runs, operates, and governs this nation. Make no mistake about it. And that is why we're talking about what we're talking about today. And in addition to all of this, Trump demands that Netanyahu would be pardoned for, the 6th time since June of last year. This came out again earlier today. Because we need to focus on the Iran war, we need you to pardon Netanyahu. This is the 6th time that Trump has demanded that Netanyahu receive a pardon in different forms. He had a letter that he signed out to Herzog. He's had Truth Social posts. He's had public statements, both in the United States domestically and also abroad. While he's giving a speech in front of a bunch of the Israeli, I forget the name of the Knesset and whatnot. And it's just so like. Are we connecting the dots? Is mega, it can, and I just I didn't want to do victory laps, any of that. It's just kind of like, could it be any more obvious? What more needs to be seen on the table? What more pieces need to be put on the table for everyone to be on the same page? And it's ridiculous, man. And also, one of the other bigger things that I seemingly was, it kind of got me for a surprise, was the fact that apparently Trump backed off of trans children. Now, there was a Truth Social post that he put out there that I was also sent in to me by many people who were in the Discord as well, that Trump also backed off of the mutilation and the transgender surgery of children by putting inside of one of his Truth Social posts, in the provisions from the SAVE Act would be, unless they have expressed parental consent or written parental consent, to which in the immediate aftermath he deleted, or his handlers did, and they reposted it without that little snippet in there. So not only are we getting the Iran war, no deportations, it turns out things that I didn't even think you could 180 on. We're 180ing on. So, wow. Golden age. This is where we are today. And so it looks like they might have reversed course on that. I'm unsure, but I think what needs to be explored in there is if there is a provision inside the SAVE Act that does push for parental consent for transgender surgery. I mean, what more could you call a scam than this administration? And then in addition to that, even more frustrating, more angering is that Trump wants you, the base, the people at home who voted for him for the promise that he did make on these illegals, he wants you to lighten up on your insistence on these illegals being sent. And he made and pled the case for these illegals to stay in the country because they're good people. And hopefully you enjoy that spit on your brow. It's not raining. As Donnie says here, it is not raining. You are being pissed on and spit on, one or the other. It's just a question of, I think Trump is pissing on me and Netanyahu's spitting on me. I think that's actually this seems to be the direction that we're going. And not to forget the fact that the Epstein files are actively being removed from the DOJ website while all of this is going on, to the tune of supposedly around 48,000 documents have been actively removed while the Iran war is being waged. And why is that? Well, I guess if you were asking, someone from the administration, it'd be because these are just these hoax documents, and we're cleaning up this Democrat slop. I don't even know if I could talk how a MAGA, if someone from the MAGA crowd talks anymore. It's just, it's so bad. We also had some curious, interesting happenings of the Daily Wire having a seemingly hostile takeover of TPUSA. I believe it's both Matt Walsh and Ben Shapiro were on the TPUSA show, or the Charlie Kirk show, I should say, that still does not have, Charlie Kirk on it. And here we are using their name and their likeness, and seemingly because, well, nobody else from TPUSA is worth anything because they all rode the coattails of Charlie Kirk. But it's interesting in there in the fact that I do think there is some element of this that Ben Shapiro does want to redirect and have control over TPUSA. Of course he does, because this is kind of the child or the sister organization, brother organization, whatever you want to call it, to the Daily Wire. This is kind of two stronghold, forgive me, I keep on my microphone. It's like two stronghold organizations that are the primary gatekeepers and pushers of this evangelical premillennial dispensationalism, which blends itself to neoconism and worshiping Jews so that it sends white Americans to die for Israel. So I would imagine that, of course, it would be in Ben Shapiro's interest to ensure that it steers and he is controlling it. We'll watch a video of that because I saw this video get pushed today, and it's funny, the language he is being used is literally, we're going to put boots on the ground at TPUSA. I kid you not, is the language that Ben Shapiro used about his relationship with TPUSA. And another smaller thing is that Fishback's top guy again, I believe it's Joan from DC, got his account nuked, but it wasn't for anything that he had done. It was because the video he had posted was about one of these other Floridian government members, I don't even know who he is, specifically said that they want to take Fishback off the ballot and they want to fuck him up. And it looks like that Jones' account was getting nuked, not because of anything he did, but because of a DMCA claiming on the video, so the video would be taken off of Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. Lovely. It is, we are in a unique time here in America. And I think there's a great post that was put out by Antelope Hill Publishing. And very specifically in this post from Antelope Hill Publishing, they made the point that this is the era, this is the time that people's decisions, comments, and quotes and positions will be remembered forever. How people are talking about this current conflict will be remembered for years to come. And so in the light of many people who are in support of the war, I think one of the people who will be taken a look at as well is going to be Asmongold, which is seemingly became Asmongoy, as he actually is on the opposite end of me and the majority of America when they saw Brian McInness stand up in the Marine. Asmongold said that he basically parroted the line, that this radical protester got what he deserved. Rather unfortunate, but Sneeko came into the rescue, and Sneeko pushed back on that. So we'll take a look at a lot of this going on. But again, it can't be missed. And I think one of the main points is here we are, here we have arrived. And if you look at who the top supporters of the Trump administration is, it is a inkling of Laura Loomer. You have Mark Levin. You have Josh Hammer. You have insert like people like the Quartering in these kind of these not ankle biters, but this kind of soap scum. these people that exist at on the onset. And I think when you look at that, you have to consider what happened to all of the patriots. Where'd all the Americans go? Why is it just a bunch of Jews and Zionists? There's not one actual heritage white American here who believes in strong Christian values. When people bring up Hegseth for years has been talking about his desire to see the third temple rebuilt in Israel. And here we are. The MAGA administration reduced to what it always has been, which was a huge subverting force primarily made up of the fifth column, which is the Jewish element here in America. And what have they done? They have forced everyone who had, whether it was from walking away from the Democrats or whether it was naturally coming into a position of MAGA, it is that they have all vacated it, and we have arrived once again at the position that there's no one here that you can recognize. There's Dave Smith isn't up there, Tucker Carlson isn't up there, Megyn Kelly's not up there, Charlie Kirk's not up there, Nick Fuentes is not up there. Who is up there? Who is right now supporting the administration that you respect? There's nobody. And this is where we are. Sad, unfortunate, but again, can't black pill. We can't black pill. We just need to start thinking about things a little bit differently. And this is a high leverage moment. And I think a lot of things will come out of this that it will ultimately kind of live on in history, I would imagine. Specifically, when you see things like the tirades from Laura Loomer over and over and over again. A zealot, thank you, Ronnie Chapa, this insane zealot who is like just pushing over and over and over again, attacking people. Like supposedly she had been posting pictures of Brian McGinnis's children on X, like moments thereafter of what he did, because she just has to. She just has to attack the children. She has to make it the most toxic and untenable position. And that's who Larry Loomer is. A disgusting Jewess who should have been recognized for what she is a long time ago, and how she maintains any amount of credibility or people like her post. It is just an absolute mystery to me. But again, that's kind of a gist of what we have today. And so with that being said, guys, let's get started.
Straight through, offensively accurate, that's the view.
So what we have, I was hoping the screen pop up. There we go. So what we have to start off today is some of the newer developments. I'll start with the top of the hour elements, which is some of the newer off the top things that are kind of changing the direction of what we have, kind of the overall development of the war. And that is per Rerum Novarum, which I have on screen here. And the report is coming from, according to Politico, but the report came from CENTCOM, which is Central Command, is asking the Pentagon to send more military intelligence officers to its headquarters in Florida to support operations against Iran for at least 100 days, and likely through September, according to Politico. And so that's kind of the report. Largely, it is coming from Politico. Politico has kind of been up in the news the last couple of months just for its revolvement around things like the Gavin Wax group chat and many other things. But it does appear all reports are pointing to the fact that this is going to be a longer skirmish. And in addition to what this report says here, we are also getting another report that is saying that there is perhaps going to be a descaling. We're going to be scaling back the amount of missiles and the frequency of strikes to ensure we can stay into the battle longer, so we can maintain a longer fight. And this is part of what has been reported since the beginning of the war, which is that there's a massive disparity between the ability to upkeep for the high-grade interceptors and missile interceptor systems that Americas has and the American allies have, which is the THAAD and the Patriot missile systems. And also on the other side of that is the fact that Iranian can launch all these one-way drones and these suicide drones because they cost like 50 grand. So that's a big disparity between the differences in prices there. And so looks like all signs on both the financial signs with the munitions and also the report we have here from the CENTCOM is that this war is going to be a lot longer than what it is or was originally reported as, right? So we first started off as a limited strike, then it was a 4 to 5 weeks at most, to now it is a month-long operation, and I'm sure we will be at the year mark before too long. I hope not, but that's the direction these things typically go. And yes, I believe I saw something here from JR I did see earlier today, but I didn't corroborate. Where was it? Where did that go from JR? Because I'm hearing reports of militaries being forced to use Indian ports for resupply and repairs. I've seen a lot of conflicting things coming out, and I think that's kind of the fog of war as well. I think one thing specifically, too, that you have to remember is the fact that there was a recent push on AI that was specifically kind of labeled like this, right? So what they were talking about, and I think Ronnie Chapa, I think I saw him posting a lot of this on X, if he's still here in chat, was this idea that because there's all of this war footage coming and hitting the timeline, that we're going to make sure it's not like AI, or too many people are posting this AI or fake footage, and so we're going to like overall limit it, and we'll suspend creators from the creator revenue stream or the creator program for 90 days, limiting their ability to make money. You won't be monetized for those 90 days if you get suspended. But shortly thereafter, what people realized was all of a sudden, no footage was on the timeline. All of a sudden, there's nothing on the timeline. Now it's been reduced to 0. And it's kind of curious because if you think back to the recent events, right, between the 12-day war that happened just last year, you think back to the October 7th, you think back to, any of the other times where there's been any kind of, violence, even if it wasn't United States involved or Israeli involved, there was no problem with the ghost of Kiev. How long did the ghost of Kiev stay up? And that story set out. Some people still probably believe the ghost of Kiev's a real thing. But it's not until we get the Iranian war that all of a sudden now we're concerned. Now, we've lived through too many years of people posting Arma 3 footage the day of, on the day of wars. Now we're going to finally put a stop to it. And I think people are right to find that suspicious, as it has resulted in the fact that, quite frankly, no footage is on X, or seemingly there's a heavy lack of it that people would expect, or at least you would expect to see more of it. Now, I would say in addition to that, if people are wanting to get good streams of footage and good sources of footage, I will tell you again. Let me point this out. Put it back up on screen. One of the top places I go to is Rerum Novarum. They are very, very closely tied to Nick Fuentes. They're a nationalist. They come from a nationalist positioning. I won't say I know everything about them, but literally I'll click on this. If I look to who are the 6 people that this account is following? The America First Foundation, Fuentes updates. I don't know who the stage fright is. Apparently the owner of that account. The Pope, America First HQ, and Nick. So if you're looking for a source, I like Rerum Novarum. They do really good jobs. And they also have a Telegram. And the Telegram is the primary way that I follow them. So if I'll give you I'll spit you some games, some inside ball. And that came from House Leotardo. Can't be forgotten. House is my number one source of information. I don't even look at news anymore. I just call House. Somebody get me House on the phone. Somebody get me House. And for those who are familiar with House in the Discord, know he has a wealth of knowledge. And but that's kind of the direction that is shaping in the war. The new talking point, this is more top of the hour information that is changing some things here. I'm going to bring this up from Stephen Miller, but this is the new talking point that's coming out, and I'll put it back on screen. This is from the John Miller stream, but it's a clip here of Stephen Miller, and I'll let you hear it for yourself before I give you my take on it.
One of the reasons I fear, Sean, that some people in this country lost faith in the military and the capacity to use that military to defend us is because we had a woke Pentagon. Because we had a military who, at the very highest levels, not the warfighters, was forced to fight a less than full fight. What you're seeing now, Sean, is a military that is unleashed in all of its lethal prowess to go out and seek, destroy, and kill the enemy, which is what militaries are for. One of the reasons,
and especially that last part, right? Is go out, the militaries are for the purpose of seeking out the enemy to kill them. It's like, no. The military is for defense. It is a deterrence, right? This is kind of like look how far we've come from George Washington, right? But at the very beginning there, you'll catch him, which is this idea that we weren't supportive of the military or military interventions because the military is woke. It had nothing to do with forever wars. It was because MAGA didn't want to support a woke military. And now that Hegseth's in charge, it's full send. Yeah, this is our Hebrew hammer. This is our based Jew. This is who Captive Dreamer posted nonstop, day in and day out, and said, look at our based Jew. Look at our based Hebrew hammer. Look where we are. Paging Captive Dreamer. It's funny, and I agree with it. what's hilarious is many of you who maybe are on some of the inside game with X, maybe are familiar with Will Stansel and this idea that Will Stansel is the most is the worst, is the one of the worst people on the internet. But he is the, and I'm quoting this, he is the quote most raped man alive. Captive Dreamer has taken that title from him. Captive Dreamer came out with a post, and I'm just paraphrasing here, but it's something to the effect of, so what, we're at war with that. I mean, he's like, there's nowhere to go. There is nowhere to go. Captive Dreamer invented the Fell For It Again award. Captive Dreamer is the Fell For It Again award. And I think Nick is right. This is the stance on this. We need to know who these people are. You seriously need to block them, mute them, or otherwise put them on a list so you remember forever, that is who this person was. Oh, I remember you. You were spewing out John Bolton talking points in 2026. Leave. And the best part is, and people still aren't piecing this together, if you go to his account, you know what it says? This account's based in connected via the North American Android app because he's in Canada. He's not even in the United States. Stop falling for these types of things. The number one thing you need to do if you see a post on X you disagree with, click on their location. Guarantee you it's not going to say United States. It'll say Pakistan or North American Android app. Where's that from? Canada. GTFO, dude. Get out, man. But right in the sense of like, they don't even matter. Not even worth having infights with these people. Any breath spent on them is breath wasted. They need to be left in the dust. Just move on. Don't feel bad if you were listening to them or if you're halfway disagreeing with them. They were meant to be a subversive force. Now it's just time to move on. Now you know what they are. Okay, we learned our lesson. Let's go on. Let's move on. And I saw that LOL Marble posted about the U.S. fighter jet. I will put this back up on screen. But it does seem that it's been still unconfirmed so far. And perhaps maybe it was in the time that I've been looking at this. This is from Rerum Novarum. Again, they say breaking initial reports. This is again from 3:30 today, that a U.S. fighter jet was shot down over Basra, Iraq, and the pilot has been captured by local Iraqi security forces. This is being reported by the most popular Iraqi channels and multiple locals. And like I said earlier, there's other reports corroborated that there was an Iraqi search team. However, give it a bit of time because there's reports identical to this that was out either yesterday or the day before that were untrue. But again, this is part of what we're also kind of going back and forth between, which is, do you go with the domestic United States sources, knowing they're going to have a very pro bias towards the war, and they're going to have a very pro, they're going to be defensive of the administration, or are you going with the international numbers, which are extremely biased against the United States, are going to want to upplay the Iranian force and threat, so you're kind of stuck in between the middle. But like I said on the stream before, and this is really a part of the reason what's really pissing me off is thinking about how the fact that there's any American casualties. I'm sure many of you might have seen the video of one of the 6 American casualties. The sister of the brother spoke out, and it was a rough video to make it through. And it's disgusting, very, very, very disgusting. But the point to be made here is the fact that if the domestic side is saying it's 6. But internationally is saying, now we're approaching 700, you got to think the answer is probably somewhere in between there. It's probably somewhere in between those numbers, which makes up for a world of difference. And again, the United States is not going to come out and up front and sit there and say, hey, here's the exact numbers, here's exactly up to date. They're not going to. Because the more that number rises, the more that it's shown that U.S. fighter jets are being shot out of the sky, that USS carriers are being shot and pounded with cruise missiles, forcing them to leave certain areas. People do not want to see that. And like I said before, they will want the war to end one way or another. And I think that's where it gets really scary. It gets scary in the fact that I think it puts us in people like in the kind of the Pearl Harbor, the kind of, how do we deal with Japan? We're suffering such bad losses that they won't stop. They're terrorists. It's the way they think, The only way we'll make them stop is we gotta just end it ourselves. That's what I fear. I fear that we are encroaching the sentiment that would be required to build the idea that the best and right thing to do, no matter how awful it may feel, will be that we need to end this conflict by dropping a tactical nuke on Iran. I do fear that deeply. Deeply, I fear that. But moving on to the featured story of today, moving away from some of the what's the word, off some of the top of the hour stuff, we move into the main story of today, which is Brian McInness, who was a Marine. Now, Brian McInness, let me put this on the aggregate list, actually, because there was so much of this today. I know Nick talked about it yesterday, and I'm sure people did as well, but I do want to talk about it myself. So I'll put this up on screen. This is the aggregate as it's literally the top trending item still on X, just largely because of this massive split. But some of the basic details is the fact that this is a 44-year-old veteran. He was a Green Party Senate candidate and Marine veteran from North Carolina. He was dragged out of a Senate subcommittee hearing on military readiness by Capitol Police, and it was assisted by Senator Tim Sheehy, who broke his arm. Here's how the New York Post covered it. Let me just pull this up for you for a second. This is how the New York Post covered it. And so it's from Big Nasty, who says, I was wondering how they were going to spin this impressively grotesque, but what does the New York Post say here? It says GOP Senator Tim Sheehy helps Capitol Police remove protester who allegedly injured 3 officers and appeared to break his own arm. In wild scene. Protester breaks his own arm is some real victim blaming shit, the top comment says, which I do have to agree with. And here was my tweet on it to kind of zoom out a little bit, to give a statement from what I was viewing so far in the overall. And this tweet got some spin. I wasn't expecting it because my tweets never go anywhere. But I said, I've never been more convinced of a near future Civil War revolution than the last couple of days. This recent video circulating, for example, had 2 different immediate reactions. 1, everybody that I respect said patriot. 2, everyone else, radical protester. Imagine serving your country and being touted as a radical for voicing your opinion. This nation deserves judgment from the Almighty God. And that was my post. And yes, I do like my own posts. If you don't like it, who else will? And this is the scene playing out, the shorter scene, but it does not include the opening element of it. Which, if you guys did see the opening element of it, he stood up in his seat, like literally just nowhere, didn't even move anywhere, just basically stood up, holding his hat in one hand, and said, Americans do not want to die for Israel, and then was attacked, assaulted by Capitol Police. It was Capitol Police, I do believe. I do have a super chat in here from Safely Bitcoin. They say, hey, so what should we do with all the Chabad Lubavitch centers opening up in residential neighborhoods near us? Asking for a friend. And what I would say is we will always try. Here's the thing is I get it. And this is kind of what I'm really concerned about is the fact that I think that we are rapidly approaching periods where people are going to not have crimes of passion. And I think that we still need to exercise discrepancy. I still think we need to exercise principle. We need to exercise wisdom in all of this and not open ourselves up to being rapidly ushered off. I understand it though. I truly, 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 deeply, 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 deeply understand it. And just by that, putting that super chat up here, everyone here all committed a thought crime all at once. We're all going to be moved. Every single one of us will be sitting in the Orwellian cell, and they're going to tell us 3 lights. You will sit here in this chair until you tell me there are 3 lights. And that's where a lot of my fear is going, is I deeply do feel like something like that's boiling in the air. I think the event such as this, I think this is what galvanizes and motivates people to get further, to encroach further along these lines. And he was in uniform. And the worst part about this is the fact that the immediate defense from people like in the mainstream, in the overall is this was a political stunt. He's a communist. I don't give a shit if he's African. That was a Marine in uniform who served his country, speaking his opinion. So like, so is the expectation that you're going to drag all of us to war against the majority of the people's will, and like the expectation we all just sit here and effing take it? Is that what you want? Well, you're not going to get it. So what's the expectation here? Then people are saying, well, there's designated areas to speak. There's designated areas to speak outside the Capitol. I'm sorry, that's the people's house. And every person in that building works for us. Excuse me? Like, what is this language? Then they're saying it was a political stunt. Well, wow, fantastic. That political stunt, dude, he might be a front runner for 2028 at this point, dude. That political stunt, he Dude, he's rising, bro. Poly market. Somebody got the poly market odds of Brian McGinnis right now. 2028. I don't care what the designation is. In that moment, in that 5-minute escapade of what was going on, every American watched and said, "That's me. I'm him." Now, I think Nick said it best too. He's a cut above, right? He's a Marine. For all of us who who didn't serve, I mean, he stands on a bit higher reputation of that. For someone who did serve in the country. So he's got a bit of clout and status to wield, if you will. No stolen valor here. But that's the point. And how people aren't getting this is just beyond me. It's like, yeah, we're voting. Yeah, I support this guy, and if I support this guy, they're using this argument as if like I go, wow, wait a minute. He's a Green Party candidate? Maybe he likes Muslims maybe more than I do. Oh my gosh, you're totally right. That must mean if you reverse engineer that means that we're not waging war on behalf of Israel. Oh my gosh, this is the 5D. No, and it's like, oh, Lord have mercy, dude. It's like, what was the point of that? This is great. Good. Let him be successful in the nation. Because again, it's the idea that I'm supposed to support the war and all the people who are pushing for it because, like Tick said, his wife being Palestinian and all this, and being Muslim. Where's that? At this point, I'm like, hey, how about that Christian-Muslim alliance, man? And Sly Ghost just is sitting here saying, like, I like Muslims more than Jews. That's where many people are at right now. But that's the framing here. The framing here is the omission of the fact that the force who's pushing against the Muslims are not Christians. The majority of the people who are pushing this bullshit are not Christians. They worship something that is not Christian. Or they themselves are outspokenly secular, or they themselves are outspokenly Jewish, or they practice the tenets of Judaism or some form of that, some rabbinical practice of that. And I say that's not American, that's not us, and so don't ever say we and expect to see me. If you are a practicing Jew, if you are a secular Jew, there is no we here. And this idea and this flagrant use of we is just incredible. But no, if you're asking me, no, I don't care that his wife's Muslim. I don't care that his wife's Palestinian. I don't care if he makes dumb remarks and he's for pro-immigration. Going back to what I said at the beginning of this, it is clear that there's certain political elements and entities that are taking priority. And it is very, very, very specific that we need to get this country back into the hands of the American people, away from the hostile nation that's overtaken it, away from the fifth element, away from the ownership. It's not looking or feeling good. But here's one of his recent tweets, and this part of it, right? They made him a hero. They made this guy a hero. Here's one of his recent tweets here. From Brian McInness, it says, and for the record, I've been running long before this. And yes, even after breaking my arm standing up for what I believe in, it's only made me more determined. Anger is real, and so is resolve. Take care. You're not going to sit here and stand and do whatever, but the point being is like this, that there's no argument against what occurred to this man. And it is a extreme blunder for the administration. And once again, opening itself up to what? Having unity across the aisle over the issue of Israel. The umbrella issue that we seemingly keep finding ourselves at, this uniting element. But like I was saying earlier, Laura Loomer immediately attacking his family, posting podos. I wish I could just post podos. This is from Leon Neeson, but he writes, the Marine who got his arm broken for speaking out against the war, Laura Loomer, is now posting photos of his children on the internet. An account I typically disagree with, but here she is doing it. While in uniform, his wife, his beliefs, all of it. And here it is. U.S. Marines are not allowed to engage in political activities while they are wearing their uniform. Imagine, think about the world we're in right now. Think about this. I just want everybody to think about this. That Larry Loomer, this Jewess has the chutzpah to sit there and talk down to a Marine, brother, I'm sitting here going, like, I don't even know what my political beliefs are anymore. I'm about to throw it all to the wind, dude. No, I'm just messing. But it's like, look at where we are. The chutzpah of Laura Loomer to stand, right? To stand over this man. They're also not allowed to wave the flag of adversaries yet. Hey, Laura Loomer, when we get every Israeli flag in this nation burned in one massive pile of heap, I will give a shit about what you think about who and what can wave the flag of adversaries. But if you are asking the average American, the flag of the adversary is the one that is the Star of Renfin. It is the blue and white one that I'm getting sick and tired of seeing being waved in my halls of Congress, in my halls of whatever. I'm tired of seeing it in county halls. I'm tired of seeing it on Fetterman's page. I'm tired of seeing it wrapped around you animals who cheer and shout and scream at the highest halls of power to go bomb brown people across the country because you want your hegemony, you want your nation, you want to bring about the destruction, you want to bring about this just disgusting alien idea that is anything but Christian. Disgusting people, dude. And you know what she's asking him for in the second one here? If Brian McGinnis is getting military benefits, they should be stripped from him. He appears to be a Muslim convert, and he is married to a Muslim woman. Hey, Laura, what should we do about Jews then? Since we're in a Christian country, in a Christian nation, what should we do then? Does it follow? Are we going to be principled? No. Nope. It's scary to think there may be other people like this who have served in our military. Wow. You know, you guys might be old enough to remember the Tucker cost. As we sat and we listened to Kevin Roberts, an American, be lambasted for weeks by who? By literal Israelis on how we should govern ourselves, on how, who, and what an American conservative think tank should cancel or not cancel. So I don't give a damn what Larry Loomer or any other practicing Jew cares about who or what is adversary and whatnot. There's no we here. This is a Christian country. You can say Christ is king, or you are just as much as an adversary to this nation as they are. Hasbara, jihad, don't care. Get it all out. Push. It's like Patrick from SpongeBob. Push. Push. Get it. Like, get it out, please. So much so that you know what I saw earlier today? I saw that the Iranian embassy had to put out a notice to the people of China that they felt blessed and were so gracious, but they at this time did not need any more financial assistance. Do you know why? Because the people of China are so on their side. The people of China, who supposedly are like so poor and weak and like and are struggling, right? All the stuff United States you get from the United States domestic media circuit, are giving their money, sending their money in small form donations to Iran because the people of China believe in Iran. Like we are actively facilitating what is ultimately going to build and be consequential to the formation of probably another world war. And now we're going to have people from China who literally hate us because they look at us and they just see Israel. Building up even worse tensions, worse international diplomacy, worse trade deals, worse overall sentiments. Because we're just owned. Because we're just owned, we're just blackmailed. And I guess somehow, somewhere, the expectation is that these people think that they're going to continually wage war and bomb, people across the country for Israel's Greater Israel Project for the bajillionth time. in addition to also fresh off the back of the whole world, and we're getting we're critical mass. If we're all aware now that the majority of these people, on top of being owned by Israel, are being blackmailed because they're all a bunch of sexual degenerates, more so largely committing just sexual degenerate crime, sometimes criminal, sometimes just reputationally damaging. And the expectation is that all of these Christian men inside of this country are going to just keep showing up to work with their heads down as they go to work to pay for Somalians and pedophilic elites to continue this subversion and turning this once great nation that literally represented everything that was good about the world, everything that was about rebellion, everything that was about the freedom and liberty of what it was to be a human being, the Enlightenment, liberalism, and the American dream, all being cheapened and hollowed out. For what? That's the expectation. That's the idea, is that we were all just going to sit here and take it. I think the fuck not. Imagine thinking that the nation that was founded on the revolution over 3% tax is in any way, shape, or form going to be ushered in and put back in a box. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, they're going to get civil war, or we're going to get revolution. I really don't know what other way this takes form. I am. Now, the specifics, I couldn't give you specifics, but it's going to come into something. And I apologize if I missed any super chats, guys. I apologize. I ranted there for a little bit. Nativist Friends says, I have a super strong, instinctual feeling that the war with Iran is our version of the Russo-Japanese War, which preceded the Bolshevik Revolution. A lot of the feelings I'm getting is this: what is happening right now, and very specifically, what can't be missed is the bleeding out of our relations and good relations that we have with countries like the UAE, right? The petrol states. There was supposedly a billionaire who I believe resides in the UAE, who's a huge kind of a big dog in the UAE. I believe it's from the UAE. I don't want to misspeak, but I'm positive he's from the UAE. That he wrote a scathing letter, just ripping apart the administration. Like, what is in this for us? You took billions of our Arab County dollars, and next thing you know, we're being thrust into a war. Board of Peace. And before, he said, literally, they said this verbatim, he said, before the ink had dried on the Board of Peace declaration, there were bombs going off in Iran. So, like, and this is, again, going to be hugely, destabilizing to what backs the majority of what the American economy is, which is the petrodollar. Lil Matt 1503 says, Crowder called this political theater. Yeah, Crowder could not be any more off base. Crowder is just, you just gotta just let him do his thing. When we were, this is actually what's sad. When we were doing the State of the Union, covering when it was me, Zeb, and Josh and John, when we were covering the State of the Union, when we went over and flipped over to Steven Crowder, what is he doing? Oh, he's like, Spanberger's up. It's Abigail Spanberger, and you know what he's doing? Oh man, look at this fat bitch. Oh, look at this. You think I want to listen to what this woman has? It's like, it's so, the faux based and like the fake based crowd are so cringe. It is not funny. Like, wow, dude, like, wow, you're like making fun of Spanberger. Like, hey, guess what? She won her election because, I don't know, because the GOP is so utterly impotent. This isn't anything to make fun of or joke about. I tried covering Jay Jones and Spanberger for as much as I could, and Jay Jones is literally threatening harm over children of his political opponents. They still win. Why? Because the GOP is so impotent. You know why? Because the GOP can't offer until we decouple from Israel, you will be unable to put up something in this country on a party ticket that gets young white men off their seats, off their ass, that says, yes, I want that. I'm seeing it with Fishback, but Fishback's not the GOP. Fishback is everything. He's basically parroting the message from America First from Nick Fuentes. You know what that's doing? Crowds, people, we're ready. They'll vote for it. Fishback, I'm Fishback. Why won't the GOP do it? Well, it's because they're owned. Because they're owned. Because Israel owns them. Israel owns this country. And until that changes, the GOP, there's nothing they can do. Nothing. They are this restricted. They are a Trojan horse, for lack of better words. Elrank says, literally feels like we have a parasite that's destroying us from within, and it's a tiny percentage that even sees a problem, let alone deal with it. And this is very true. Although I will say, I think with things like the generational run from Nick Fuentes, with also Sneeko being brought back on the platform, I know many people have different opinions of Sneeko. Regardless, I think he's still overall, I will take him pushing the boundaries despite the disagreements we may have. And I think when you see again with the Epstein files, and just in general, I mean, like you can't promise people everything. You can't promise them the world and then give them world war and expect that it's not going to resonate and reverberate to areas and categories that you thought had been protected. But one thing I want to go to as well too, and also thank you for the super chats. I appreciate it greatly. Thank you guys very much for the support. It means a lot. And I see that King Troll's looks like you guys are going back and forth with King Troll. She can defend herself. She seems like a strong woman. Listen, we want to keep the disagreements to that. Keep it to disagreements. Let's not, we keep people on our side. We want to win, right? Let's talk about Asmongold. Let's talk about the once base roach has now been reduced to a little hat wearing individual. He put this up on screen. This is from, it's okay, I'm not mad. Whatever. From Zach, he says, Asmongold, obviously you can't run into an event screaming and fighting against the police when they try to remove you. This was Asmongold's take in response to Mr. Obvious posting, really disappointed in Asmongold for this, because Sneeko responded to Asmongold for his immediate take defending the actions of Capitol Police against Brian McGinnis. So let's take a listen to this conversation here.
Dollars, bro.
Let's pull back a little bit and put it right here.
Comfortably and make millions of dollars, bro. So you're siding with the government getting our people to die in these wars, rather than a man who has risked his life probably for a long time for this country.
Yep.
Deserved. Deserved for what? Deserved for what? Saying he doesn't want to fight this war and that it's for Israel?
That's what you get. Broke the hand of a Marine. These people are absolutely and completely addicted to optics. All they care about is how they're seen.
No, he cares about his life, and he cares about the lives of his fellow troops. He cares about the fellow Americans that are going to go to a war under a false pretense. He cares about truth. This is what being American is all about, Asmongold. It's not siding with the tyrannical government getting people to die for a lie. It's the people standing up against tyranny.
The reason I want to heavily cover this is obviously this is two major figures, major streamers in the space, much bigger than me, probably bigger than I'll probably ever will be. But I had been covering and been promoting a lot of Asmongold because it seemed that Asmongold was getting it. It appears that is simply not the case. It appears Asmongold is a bit more establishment in his thinking. But again, somebody had said it earlier, he doesn't try to be professional and arrogant. And maybe that's part of it. Maybe this is just him kind of going with what he actually truly thinks without any kind of deeper thought. But again, very disappointing to see. It's kind of a change of tune coming from him.
That's it. Shouldn't have put yourself in that situation.
Dude, you're trying to.
I missed it.
He's trying to put him in a situation where he's dying in Tehran.
What do you do? Act like a retard.
Hand of a Marine. You're a coward.
And as House says right here, Tim Sheehy, the man who you can see right there who is walking away, is the man who broke the arm and assisted in the arm being broken of Brian McInness. And as he says here too, $641,000 from AIPAC. And no joke, and directly in the moments thereafter, we got a video of Tim Sheehy talking about how we have to defend our greatest ally, Israel. And therein you have it. Could care less anything about Sheehy. I do not respect him. I do not appreciate that. Anyone who's taken money from AIPAC is an enemy of America. I would actually go so far as to say we should put people in prison who have taken money from AIPAC. That's how far I would go at this point. I don't know about, maybe not prison, but finding these people finding them, restricting them, excising them from our nation, ensuring they can't patent anything or own anything or push anymore. APAC has to go. Somebody put Operation APAC Fury in here earlier. That is exactly. That's a great way to describe this.
Israel not leading and defying orders. Exactly. Yep.
Dude, Asmongold, do you know how this country started? They were defying.
Listen. I'll take it as long as it stops. What matters is that APAC money flowing into politics just stops. I'll let you guys decide what happens after that. But let's just get it to stop flowing into our political environment.
Orders by dumping the tea in the ocean. When the Brits said that we need to be taxed on the tea, they tar and feathered the messengers and they flipped over the boats. Look at this. Come on. The smugness here is insane.
But this is my point. This Sneeko makes the best argument. This has always would have been one of my arguments against people who want to talk about principle and the right way to do things and the kind of like the sessions of Congress and all that. It's like, dude, brother, we were, my guys, I don't know if anyone knows this, but we were founded on a bunch of white men who, because they were going to tax tea at an extreme rate, on top of everything else being taxed without representation, on top of everything that's going on, they were like, we're not doing this. And quite frankly, what do they do? Founding Father says, what are you asking us to do? Come back and ride through our town. I want to give you something. I want to give you something. That's how it happened. Yeah, no. George Washington, he told all of his troops, he said, guys, they were totally right. There are laws in place. It doesn't matter how badly we are being assaulted and oppressed and our people being, misrepresented and, they're quartering. That doesn't matter. There's a law here that says we have to do this. No. Morality does not equal legality. Remember that morality does not equal legality. Law does not equal moral. And everybody wants to say we got to do it by the right way. We got to do all this. It's like, listen, dude, the founding fathers knew this, and it's so tough to talk about. It's so rough to talk about because it feels like it incites a lot of things. But this is the energy. This was the blueprint. They gave us the blueprint, and on top of the blueprint, they did it even in the same kind of scenario, going up against literally at the time the world's greatest navy. The point was to live on your feet. It'd be better to live on your feet than die on your knees. Or die on your feet than live on your knees. I still have that in me. I feel it. It's a blood memory of mine, actually. So when I see these things, I can feel it. When you see the tomahawk being yeeted from Mel Gibson in The Patriot, I can feel it. It's as if I threw it myself. It's like no practice required. I saw the scene and it was like, I can do that too. I walked outside. I grabbed a knife. I threw it 40 yards across the yard, stuck in the tree, just like that. Still got it. Got one more in me. This is why I said, what's the expectation? What's the expectation? That he's gonna stand outside. All right, we're waging war. We're waging war. I guess I'll stand out here where no one's at and speak to nobody. No, I'm going to scream at the top of my lungs with all of you bastards inside this committee too. You're going to hear it. You're going to hear me. That's what's going through his head. Care about what stupid rules said. Even more insane is the Capitol Police, the struggle. The struggle to get him, dude. Listen, it's just a joke, dude. Don't get mad about the numbers being off. It's just a joke. What are we doing here, actually? So no, actually, you're right. You're right. That's not how we should do it. I'm gonna go with the founder's blueprint. You're totally right. You're totally right. We should have taken the lesson from Kirk. The debate is over. We're done talking. You are totally right. If that's the message they want to send, then so be it. Then so be it. If that's okay. Okay. But it's again, and they'll push you and attack you for it. But this is kind of the plan, right? So is the expectation? No, we're going to wage a war that none of the people want. That we're going to beat the shit out of you if you try to stop and prevent. We'll smear you afterwards. We'll get our water boys like Benny Johnson and Nick Sortor and Brad Daughtry and everyone else that's going to come out and say and defend for it and push for it. Really? Be careful what you wish for, I guess. Play the clip of Brian again. Yeah, is this the one? Oh, Ellerax didn't see it? Oh, okay. Yeah, this is the where I'm at might be afterwards. Hold on, I'll go to my tweet. I have the actual full one on here. On this one. Sneeko is brown. Wow. You're telling me this for the first time. I thought Sneeko was Albanian. You guys crack me up sometimes. This is Nick Sortor. And again, look how Nick Sortor quoted it, right? Holy crap! U.S. Senator and Navy SEAL Tim Sheehy just personally jumped in and helped Capitol Police take down a belligerent man aggressively interrupting a Senate hearing. Bruh. Dude. Bruh. Dog. When I'm telling you, listen, like I know Larry Loomer makes you guys mad, but this brother, like, I had a lot of faith in this guy because he was huge when it was the East Palestine, bringing in doing all of the coverage and doing all of the, the East Palestine and going out to one. Like, I was like, dude, this is awesome, bro. Like, this guy's really good on the ground coverage. And here he is. There he is, man. The $7,000 posts hopefully will keep you cool where you're going, brother. But here's the video. Ellerax, want to see it? We will play this. This is the one with no commentary on it. I'll pull the video down because I don't know how loud it's going to be. But this one's still missing the beginning, and part of the reason why is because if they played the whole clip, it make them look terrible. That's Sheehy right there.
No one wants to fight.
That's him pulling.
For
Right?
Israel.
That's Sheehy pulling.
His hand. Oh, his hand.
Imagine playing this video. So you guys remember the New York Post article we saw earlier? What was their headline again? Radical protester injures 3 Capitol Police, has to be restrained. Who's being injured here? we're it's just such chaos, man. It's just such a big joke. It's a big lie. But you guys knew that. They know that. They just expect to get away with it. Maybe they expect the average person is so stupid they won't even click on the video. Here we go. Look at everybody standing up. And also, what about the non-reaction to have the arm broken? Can you imagine the guy that you hired breaks your arm after you told him that he's doing a bad job? That's kind of what's going on here. Crazy. And just blows me away too. D-Day Louis says, D-Day Cobra Shilling never mentioned huge audience. I don't know what it's supposed to mean. I know a lot of people follow D-Day Cobra. I literally have never watched him for a second of my life. Hopefully we're getting raided by somebody, dude. Oh no. Dude, hey, listen, dude. Mark your line in the sand. Let it be known, dude. Mark your line in the sand. If you support this guy being arrested, please say it. Say it publicly. Say it proudly, please. We're asking you at home. Please do it. Please post it. Please say it in every spot that you can on Facebook, on X. I want to know who you people are. Not like your address. Please, just say it. Say it. Tell us how much you support the war in Iran. Please. It'll help. It will help. The mouse tool, the special tool, help us later. I just like, dude, go be a homosexual, Jewish taint licking, boot licking, screw fag somewhere else. Seriously, dude. Like I'm so done. I'm so done. I have been living under this, experiencing this, and been fighting against this BS. Oh, yeah, dude, you want to go bomb Iran to go make some more OnlyFans models? Like, that's so base, dude. Brother, in any other period in history, dude, we would be... Dude, yeah. No, I probably should cool it. Let's not remove ourselves. Let's practice some discernment, if you will. And one thing I guess I'd like to go to here as well, too. I'll go to what Nick's take was on Elijah Schaefer's show directly afterwards on this, but also I want to take you to a post from another veteran who is an infantry armsman, I believe. Let me find the post here. There it is. It's from Ben Weir. Don't even know who he is at all, but he is quoting this. He says, as an infantry veteran, I can tell you that Brian McGinnis is not in the minority when it comes to active duty military or retired veterans. Our troops are sick of fighting regime change wars for Israel and heading into battles that only hurt America. Thousands of American children will grow up without their father because of the blood currently being shed overseas. The best way to support veterans is to stop creating more of them. Enough is enough. And here we have a clip here, and he's quoting a Kazarev clip of Nick on Elijah Schaefer. They aired yesterday. I'll go to this here. We'll go ahead and play it. And Uncle House adding in that he's running for Senate in North Carolina. I do believe, yes. Brian McGinnis. Unsure when that election is. I haven't looked at any details on that race particularly, but he is running. And I think he even said he's been running for a while. I think he's probably tried in previous races, I would imagine. I would assume that's what that statement meant. But here's Nick and Elijah on this.
To me, this is just a picture of America right now, which is you have a U.S. Marine. These are the people that are actually prosecuting the war, actually fighting the war. These are the best of us. These are people that voluntarily give up their life, potentially, risk the ultimate sacrifice for the good of the country. And they're being sent out now into, like you said, yet another ridiculous regime change war in the Middle East for Israel. And that's what the guy says. He says, look, we don't want to die for Israel. Americans don't want to die for Israel. And look at the way that he's being treated. Literally dragged out of the chamber by the cops. A U.S. senator jumps into action like you said, like a whore, like a disgusting slut. Jumps in the middle of the action trying to get this guy out of there. They smash his hand in the door. That's the picture of America. That Marine is all of us. He's all the Americans that are saying, we don't want to go along with this. We don't want to die for Israel. We want our freedom and independence and sovereignty back. And this is our security apparatus and our representatives, our politicians, telling us, shut the fuck up and get out. You have no First Amendment. You have no recourse. This is the way the country's going. You know, even in the Senate, what they're trying to do is exercise constitutional restraint on the executive branch. According to the Constitution, you have to ask Congress to go to war.
And think about what this is, too, in addition to everything that, in the minor sense, the elections in Trump, in the administration of Trump, what MAGA was supposed to be was a physical representation of the will of the people. And that will was mass deportations. It was bringing Christian values back. It was removing DEI. It was getting rid of this wokeness. It was putting more of the traditional values back into the framing, removing the woke garbage, but very specifically to no new war president, to not drag us into war. It was to clean up the country. It was in essence to drain the swamp. Trump garnered under the banner and many Americans under the belief that he would be a representative for what their values were, and they voted for him to carry out and execute on these values. He has failed. Not only that he has failed and did a bad job, he turned around and stabbed every single person who supported him, took stripes, took heat, and stabbed them in the back with a massive machete because Miriam Adelson holds his balls. Because the Israeli lobby holds their balls. There is no recourse here. this more so of what you're seeing is an extension of the fact that people don't believe in any of the system anymore. This is where we are. The reason you're hearing revolution is not because someone just got mad one time. It is because they have been browbeaten over and over to the point of nearly being unconscious, that there is nothing they can do, no person they can support, no money they could send to any candidate that would do an ounce of jack shit that would help save this nation from almighty judgment from God, because it is the direction we are heading, because of how bad this is. Because if you can't have a nation that just pedophilic elite, OnlyFans models, because coming on the street, homeless people, just, and then you know what? And the worst part is the moment that there was any amount of heat on the administration for what they were doing that was helping the American nation, oh, they stopped, immediately stopped. Bomb Iran with everyone screaming at home, please stop, please don't do this. This is consequential. This is years long. This has the chance to destroy America from the outside, from the geopolitical. Oh, we don't care. We're doing it anyways. It's this idea of like this Marine needs to go honor the stupid law of standing outside and saying it to no, that is just the most, it is so removed from where the energy is. That is removed from the reality of the situation. Let's play it out.
There's no formal declaration of war. There's no authorization of the use of military force. Trump is instigating the war. Now we're in it. Our elected body is supposed to restrain this action, and Republicans shot it down basically on party lines. And now we're being held hostage by this GOP, which many white people voted in. So it is this feeling of powerlessness. People are getting the shit kicked out of them, figuratively, and in this case now literally, for wanting to put America first. It's a pretty disgusting sight.
And the thing is these are the kind of events that reverberate. You know, I think that photo of him being pulled through the door, I mean, we're going to see that years from now. We will see that photo. You know, it's one of those moments that it did feel like I wouldn't say really a shot heard around the world, but I do think ultimately this is it's something to that effect. I think when I see a post from Clint Russell, and I see a post from Jake Shields, and I see a post from a random leftist, and I see a post from Nick Fuentes, and I see a post from this faction, millions of views, hundreds of thousands of likes across the aisle, left, right, progressive, Nazi, nationalist, everybody agrees. Everybody agrees. Nobody wants to die for Israel. So where do we go from here? Where? What is the off ramp? Trump was supposed to be the off ramp. Now it's just a bunch of non-Christians. Now it's just a bunch of non-Christians and Jews. And that's the point. I think everybody has an idea of where we go. So now I'm kind of thinking, is this going to be a civil war? Are we going to see states try to secede? Are we going to see Fishback gain power in Florida and try to strong arm Florida into a better position? Are we going to see, are we going to see assassination attempts come back and make a return? Anything but the will of the American people. There is no person who is an American who is pro the Iran war. If you're pro the Iran war, you might as well just be Mexican, Canadian, not American. That's why it's like, if you're proud of this, post it, push it out there, and we'll revisit this in a few years if the nation's even here. It's so retarded, and Trump's got half these people so beaten. It's Stockholm syndrome so bad. They don't even know how to act. Their abuser just keeps going harder and harder. Please, but it hurts. I don't even care anymore. Some natural IQ filters you can't circumvent, and that's one of them. So be it. And some things you really can't control, right? It's one of those things where you got to, you have the wisdom to concern yourself over the things that you can control, then also have the wisdom to, know what the things that you can't control. And Unfortunately, I can't control the amount of cucks that exist in this nation who would crawl and drag themselves over broken glass to do things to Trump that that nobody wants to know about. What was her name? Madison. Who was the House aide? Who was the House aide who was blowing Trump? That's what everybody in MAGA looks like. Hey, wipe your mouth off before you comment in this chat, dude. That's disgusting. Hey, clean yourself off. That's disgusting. Could you at least take a shower before you get in my chat? You smell like sweaty. No, okay, we're going too far. Oh, man. Oh, boys. Hey, at least we'll be able to joke with each other that we were right while we're hanging out on the bomb shelter. You're still Jewish. And we'll start laughing. Hey, I think that one might have came from Italy. You know, when the rest of the world turns against us, they eventually recognize like what we've been doing. The trench humor will be peak. We're like, hey, dude, we're joking about who's going to take the last peanut butter sandwich. I wonder if they got Captive Dreamer yet. That's what matters, man. That's what matters. Okay, changing it up, moving over to a different topic. It's hard to, obviously, there are other things happening outside the Iranian war. Lesser important, I would add, but it's kind of covered where we are with, you know, except for like the up to the minute updates, I guess, if you will. But Kristi Noem was fired. Kristi Noem was bounced out of the DHS. President Trump fired her and nominated the Oklahoma State Senator Markwayne Mullin, who's going to take charge on March 31st. Or the Project Zephyr camps, it's funny. And Markwayne Mullin, the person who is replacing her, and they click on this one as well as from appearing first. Well, who is he? Who is he? Well, you'll see here, this is the base meter. How base is he? Well, he's in the negative by $410,000 because Track APAC has him taking $410,000. And in addition to that, Mullin also opposed the Iran deal. He opposed the ceasefire in Gaza. And what? He supported the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act. So he is currently seeking out to eliminate portions of the Bible to protect the feelings of Jews. There is an improvement. He is a male. So this is how the MAGA administration talks about it. Like, so, but at least he's a guy. At least we got rid of the girl who, I mean, you know. Yeah. You know. So here's a snippet, though, of the hearing she recently went through. I think people might be confused of why this kind of sudden change of pace of Kristi Noem. And so far, the story is the fact that she lied about Trump approving a $220 million ad campaign featuring herself, one of which very specifically is this $143 million no-bid contract that she talks about here in this hearing, dude. Or hearing here, forgive me. And in addition, the company that got the no-bid contract live on camera was incorporated 8 days before receiving the contract. So let's play a little bit of this hearing here, because she gets lambasted by our base black guy. And let me say this, dude. Whoever this guy is who's talking, pretty articulate black man. I didn't know they made him like that.
That's inaccurate, Madam Secretary. I'll read from the notice from your agency.
Dude, listen. Okay, I'm not even trying to be rude. I'm not trying to be anything. Replay this, dude. When's the last time you heard a black man say those words all together?
Two of them were
That's inaccurate, Madam Secretary. I'll read from the notice from your agency.
Madam Secretary, I'll read from the notice from your agency. What? Bro, is that Malcolm X?
Given the immediate action to significantly reduce illegal immigration and border crossings, DHS identified 4 companies, 4 Of the hundreds of thousands of companies in the United States, you identified 4. One of those is this Safe America Media company. Where is Safe America Media headquartered?
I don't know.
I don't know either, Madam Secretary. We can't find it. We can't find it.
It's Frederick Douglass. He's back, dude. He's back. He's gonna go bring in intersectionality again at CU Falls. He's gonna unite the blacks and the women again, get the right to vote. But to be fair, Frederick Douglass had a couple good points.
The website. We did find an address that's registered for this company. Do you know where that address is?
Is there a problem with this contract?
I'll tell you about it.
According to
Madam
law,
Secretary, the address is registered to a political operative. Madam Secretary, the company, and then I'll give you an opportunity to respond. The company is registered to a political operative in Virginia. Do you know, just by way of example, whether this company that received $143 million in taxpayer dollars, has it ever done work for the government before?
I don't know. I can't.
The answer is it has not. And do you know why we know that? Because it was incorporated 8 days before this contract went out. You want the American people to believe that this is all above board?
Yes,
that $143 million of taxpayer money just happened to go to this one company that doesn't have a headquarters, doesn't have a website, has never done work for the federal government before, and is registered apparently or attached to a residence from a political operative. And of course, one of the subcontractors of that contract, as you know, is a political firm that's tied to you back when you were governor of South Dakota.
And so that's it. So it's this $143 million gets sent to a company that appeared out of nowhere, that only has one address, no other connections, and the only connection it does have is what ties it back to one of Kristi Noem's friends when she was governor of South Dakota. So boom, bop, bang, see ya. Kristi Noem was bounced. And then also Trump went so far as to say that she herself lied about it. And there's a snippet here. This is her being pressed upon it by the funny guy from Kentucky as well. I always forget what his name is. It's the guy who's in the commercials. But somebody put the caption, "This was the moment Kristi Noem basically lost her job earlier this week." And this is her saying that she did get the approval from Trump and that she went through the right and correct legal channels for it.
I'm asking you, sorry to interrupt, but the president approved ahead of time you spending $220 million running TV ads across the country in which you are featured prominently.
Yes, sir. We went through the legal processes, did it correctly.
Did the president know you were going to do this?
Yes.
He did?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
And one thing, Senator, I think would be helpful to know is how effective that communications has been. That
well, they
overwhelmingly
were effective in your name recognition. I mean, I personally just, I mean, to me, it puts the president in a terribly awkward spot. And I'm not saying you're not telling the truth. It's just hard for me to believe knowing the.
And it turned out that she wasn't telling the truth. John N. Kennedy, is that really his name? I didn't know he was a Kennedy. That's crazy. That's crazy. Oh, he's from Louisiana. Okay, I thought he was Kentucky. Maybe I'm just an idiot. Louisiana, Kentucky, same thing, dude. Same difference. They're like the same state. They're like right next to each other. What does the N stand for? N stands for knowledge. In Mr. Segu's case, or Nagu's case, whatever his Seagalese name is. But I'll take, dude, if every African talked like that, dude, there'd be harder arguments for me to make. Let me tell you that. Yeah. Elrac says, am I out of line for thinking I would rather have Kristi, a woman, over Mark, a Zionist dispensationalist male? Well, I think, I guess, Kristi by default is a Zionist dispensationalist female, right? She clearly isn't going to oppose on any grounds. I mean, if she's not even, a bystander woman is no different than a pro. Like, I don't know. They're both even. Neither of them are a white Christian male, so both of them are wrong answers, I guess. But this is where we are. This is the current state of MAGA. I'll take women. I'll take Hillary Clinton, please. Just please don't go to war with Iran. This is where we are. Yeah, this is kind of where we all are. We have been beaten completely into submission. Please, please make it stop. Please, no, please, please, please. And it's for naught. Interesting. And so what do we do? What do we do with all of this? What do we do with everything in front of us? Well, this is what Nick Fuentes said he's going to do. And Nick Fuentes said, I'm voting Democrat in 2026 because white people can play both sides too. The GOP broke every single promise. Epstein file cover-up, regime change war in Iran, and no mass deportations. The GOP must be purged and burned to the ground in 26. Hostile takeover in 28. Kristi Noem with this job. It's Iran wartime. Is that to her husband or Lewandowski? Or any other male that she's probably allowed entering into her body during the administration? What's Noem's body count? In the thousands? Kristi Noem is the definition of what you would do for a Klondike bar, dude. Disgusting person. And, you know, I'm all ears for political strategy. I think you guys understand I've been along for the accelerationist element for a hot minute. For me, I'll take it something as simple as just watching the GOP lose. I'm just cool with that. I'm just cool with watching everybody lose. Everybody who's pro-Israel just lose. Fetterman? Oh, you're a Democrat? Still want him to lose. He's pro-Israel. Lose. Guess I'm voting for AOC. AOC's my queen now, dude. I got nothing left. I'm with Alex Stein. I just got the big booty Latinas, and that's it, dog. And I'm not trying to make anybody feel black-pilled or feel like there's no hope, but man, we are in a bad spot. And I think with that, and like I'd said in the video talking about, you know, between Casey and Nick, like going to the voting booth and voting red or GOP, it's just, that's insane. That is insane. That's just, like, I mean, that is, I got one more in me, dude. I'm going to go vote Republican one more time. Like, for what? For what? Like, how, like, what argument could you even make? And maybe this is the point. Maybe the point is because of this, we will all, this is a learning moment. That there's no amount of compromise, there's no amount of anything. It's just, if you are going to take your own side, you have to take your own side. You have to. There's no playing these games anymore. There's no, it's like, if it's not, I mean, like, if it's not Fishback, then it's like, okay. I'm making Newsom edits, guys. Dude, you're going to catch me in 2027. Gavin Newsom Moggs. It's going to be Newsom. It's going to be Newsom edits, like, because I got nothing. I got nothing. Make America Christian Iran. But if you're asking me, Newsom's got my vote so far right now. I'm not. I would do whatever it takes to get people. I will help run the demoralization campaign against the GOP. Burn it to the ground. You can either, I'll return for either the American Fascist Party or the American Constitutional Party or the Christian Nationalist Party, but Republicans, conservatism, that's dead. This retarded idea of conservative values removed from Christianity that is no different than secular Judaism. I'm done. I think I rather would like to see if we can do. Let's go with Steinberg. Let's go with the Green Party, bro. Like, let's just try. You know, and I think I saw some of these videos. It's funny of maybe we're too harsh on Biden. You know, and you see some of these things from Joe Biden. That's like, he's like, I think I saw it from Antunes. You can't just bomb these people, and it's like, how is Biden standing up to it more? I think we have our answer. Let me get a couple of these in here. Thank you for the super chat, Elrax. It's massive. Let me, hold on, forgive me. I clicked on the wrong one. House was right before you. I'll click on yours in a second. Uncle House says the Republican Party is protecting Ilhan Omar from accountability. Quote from Rep. Nancy Mace. She says, I tried to subpoena her immigration records, her brother's husband's immigration records, and it was Republicans that killed my motion. Can you imagine that? Wow. Almost like it's worse. It's almost like it's worse to have Republicans in power. Forgive me, Mike, dude. Carbonation in my energy drink, dude, killing me. Was this shipped in from Israel, dude? No, just kidding. LRX says, and I apologize. I don't know why it does this. It blacks out the font sometimes. But LRX says, what feels bad is that both of the parties will take all the wrong lessons from the election too. GOP won't see Israel problem. Dems will think radical woke Trump is Hitler was the reason for the win. And I can see that. Yeah. And that's why I think the hope is that we just get a lot of independents running. I ultimately think, I really hope a lot of independents come out. Did somebody put up something in here? Some strategy, some political strategy? Political Caleb Plant? That's funny. What's up, brother? No, I am not. No, I'm not Caleb Plant. Funny. Let's combine nationalism with socialism. We can call it national socialism. Socialism. Apparently I can't speak. Yeah. You say your first name different every time. I find it amusing. Ilhan, Elian, Alon, Omar. Doesn't matter because it's not English. Ilhan will be whatever I say she is because she's in my country. Your name is Sally, actually. But I agree. National socialism it is. We'll get the nationalism and they can get the socialism. Deal. Done. Bring it. Hitler, please. Hitler, please. Why weren't you successful, dog? And this is kind of where we are. Guys, my brain is broken at this point right now. And I'll revisit really what I wanted to talk about at the very beginning here. And I want to revisit the theme. The Social Studies Party, we're people who read. We're the first political party who actually reads history. That's the selling point. It's so funny when people bring up the Iranian regime and they start in the 70s. Yeah, you're so right. Everything in the Middle East started in the late 70s, you effing dimwit. I'm like getting delirious too. I'm like yelling too much. But again, the themes here, two of them, really. Two main ones of today. Now I want to rehash these again. We are occupied by a foreign hostile nation. Calculations need to be considered, given that information, as it pertains to the integrity of the election system, the direction of the election system, and the ability there within of a certain current system to enact any form of element. But the point being is that they have essentially the ability to control nearly every aspect of your life, being debanked, censored, controlled, promoted, boosted. What brings sponsorships in? What sends sponsorships out? All the way up to and including their ability to send your children to war, you to war. And because of that, and secondly to that, given the fact of the MAGA administration has been the largest and saddest scam ever, that we need to think about these things differently. We need to think about our political priors differently. We need to think about our political prioritizations differently. Because clearly what we have been trying and what we have been doing continually keeps getting co-opted, misled, we're going astray, and we end up in the same exact spot, and it keeps getting worse. So whether this is in the form of the spoiler candidate or accelerationism or joining forces with the left or whatever it may be, discussions will be had. My head's kind of in a bunch of different places right now. But the point is that we do need to think of things that we can do differently, not banging our head over and over and over and over and over again and expecting that at some point, somehow, some way. Because if Trump, the man who by all accounts is supposedly this meme, the winner of the meme war, the man who had the mandate from God, the mandate from people, and this is what you got for it, then what does that say about the integrity, the ability to enact and effect change at all? And what can't be missed, though, is there was some real ground gained from 2016 leading up to the last couple of years. And I think that does need to be a message that needs to resound, which is, but prior to MAGA, it was previously thought impossible that you could overtake the GOP. And think about the early days, everyone coming out, attacking Trump, yada, yada, so on and so forth. But ultimately, MAGA did dominate and have a party takeover. And I think you can also do the same again. I think that you can do party takeovers. I think that you can effect hostile party takeovers. I think you can do things and step out of bounds. I think listening to the same people who have been getting paid by the $7,000 posters to show up once more to the GOP plantation is political suicide. It is political nothing. You are better served by not even wasting your time driving to the voting booth to write your name on a piece of paper, because they're probably not even counting it. We have to take different paths, different ideas. We need to think about how that takes form. I know the left is obviously a huge animal who just generally hates whiteness, but again, there's certain things that obviously it takes priority. And I think at this point, avoiding World War III, I think, is a priority that would take over many of these other kind of more social elements. Not to say to avoid them. It's not to say once we throw Israel off our backs that we're going to stay in some kind of stasis. But I think for now, much like how it's talked about with all of the between the Protestants and the Orthos and the Catholics to put aside their differences for a greater goal, I think many people on the right, the left, the independents, libertarians need to set aside some of their differences to think about a better goal. Because if we are operated by a foreign nation, I mean, ultimately nothing really matters. And this is what I was saying about the UK. This is like the UK blueprint, or not the UK blueprint, but the Great Britain blueprint. People need to start thinking about Israel like it was Great Britain. We need to think about these things in the format of how the founding fathers viewed their occupation. They were occupied by a nation that was across the pond, that had nothing to do with them, that didn't represent them, that consistently did things against their own interests, that only did things that made their lives worse. That is exactly what Israel is right now. Israel is Great Britain. Israel is Britain. Israel is our occupier. And furthermore, what can't be missed is the fact that it is a distinctually connected to the ethno-religion of Judaism, the Jewish people, the fifth column, the fifth element, the World Jewish Congress, the Zionist Congress of Europe, insert any one of these thousands, there are countless of these institutions. That entire goal is to combine up, whether they're secular or religious, for their monolithic supreme principle, which is the existence in the future state of Israel. We have to figure out how we get rid of it. Changing the framing, rethinking strategy, and not being misled by a bunch of grifters who are getting paid thousands of dollars. Yes, exactly, from Tix. I do not want to be the United Lands of Israel anymore. I do not want to be the cash cow. I do not want to be the client state. And I think that's where I would leave it. I appreciate you guys greatly. A couple other things I'll go into before I take off. Actually, part of it's just my head's actually literally murdering me right now. Should expect either a video or a stream from me tomorrow. Josh is gonna hear this for the first time on stream. I'm not going to be able to make the Groyper report. I will be gone on Saturday. We'll see what I can do in terms of content before then, but I might not be able to do anything on Sunday. But I should be back here tomorrow, both stream and video, because that's basically what I'll be focused on tomorrow. But regardless, definitely a stream. And as always, I'm rooting for you guys. This is not the end. This is just a new beginning. Black pilling as it may be, it will always be darkest before the dawn, and there's not an ounce of us that can give up at all. We just literally cannot. Literally can't give up. Because you have to think about our children and think about what the boomers basically did to us. That's what giving up gets you, is wow, this, I didn't even think it could get this bad. It can definitely get worse. We have to continue to fight for both Christianity, for both white Europeans who built this nation, and for everything else that actually has an ounce of integrity that matters to the nation, that has posterity, and is the foundation of what this nation is. So with that, and also one other small thing, Aaron Spencer won his race. This is actually a secondary smaller thing. But Aaron Spencer, we talked about quite a lot. This is a community submission I had here at the end. House Leotardo sent it in, but it was the man who hunted down his daughter's stalker, his daughter's therapist, if you will, and took him off of the face of the earth. And he won his race. So congratulations to Aaron Spencer for one, on doing the right thing, but also having the balls and cojones to win your race as well against all odds. So shout out to Aaron Spencer there. I believe that was in Louisiana. I do believe either Louisiana or Arkansas. I forget off the top of my head now. It's been a minute. But I'm rooting for you guys. Should see you tomorrow. And you'll probably see Josh alone on Saturday. So we'll see how that goes. But take it easy on him. You know, he doesn't host very often, but take it easy on him. Christ is King, as always. Deport Kash Patel, deport Pam Bondi. At this point, throw them all in jail, lock away the key. Hell, turn them over to, give them to Iran. Turn them over to Iran. Give them to the IRGC. You can take them as our peace offering. And also deport any woman over 150 pounds. And any woman anywhere between 100 and 150 pounds, this is your 90-day notice to lose that 50 pounds. And if you don't, we are going to shoot you out of Canaan to Israel, where you will stay forever and not be allowed to come back. I appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take it easy. Stay safe. Do not black pill. We need more optimism. We need to be positive. Again, stand tall. Brian McGinnis should be the motivation. If he can do it, you can too. We're better than this. We can beat this. It's not over, and it's definitely not over yet. We have a chance. And again, it's rough, but stomach it. We got a chance. I'll see you guys. Take care.
Get up and get out. Get out. Get out.
I have a question for you.
Say Christ is Lord. Say Christ is Lord. Say it. You say Christ is Lord. Get out. Get out. Christ